Safety Personnel Retirement System, PSPRS meeting. I'd like to officially call this meeting to order at 4:31 p.m. With myself being present, I'll officially take roll call. Board Member Mallory Densler. Board Member Joe Candelaria.
Here.
Board Member Derek Johnston.
Here.
Board Member Rob Robbins.
Here.
Excellent. The Public Safety Personnel Retirement System for the Police Department invites the public to provide comments at this time. Members of the commission may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01G, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration, decision at a later date. Persons interested in making comments on a specific agenda item are asked to complete a brief form submitted to the commission liaison during the meeting. Each speaker is asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Does anyone wish to speak? Do we have any online?
No.
Thank you. This time we'll move on to minutes, the approval of minutes. Item A, consider and act upon the minutes from the regular meeting held on October 18th, 2023 and December 6th of 2023. Do we have a chance to discuss those minutes? Take a look at them. Do we have any corrections?
Yeah, I have a comment and a question, I guess.
Okay.
October. Oh, sure.
Thank you.
The minutes of October 18th on point 6E, it mentions discussion of legal counsel hiring. And we talked about it then. And then on December 6th meeting, I think we were presented 2 resumes and we hired one of the attorneys. But it doesn't mention anything about hiring attorneys on the December 6th meeting. Is my memory failing me? I can't remember who we hired, but we picked one, I think. We looked at the
We did,
resumes.
Leslie Swerson, and
Okay.
so I will amend the minutes and add.
Just to reflect the decision that we made at that time. Okay,
Yeah, that's all.
very good. Any other comments or questions about the minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes with the one correction that we noted for October 18th and December 6th of 2023?
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by member Robbins, seconded by member Candelaria. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. At this point, we'll move on to new business. Item A, board review of the 2023 annual actuarial valuation. Discuss, consider, and act upon the acceptance of the Arizona PSPRS actuarial valuation as of June 30th, 2023. Contributions applicable to the plan fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2025. And we have Julie Gauscher here, Financial Director for Town of Clarkdale, to do a staff report on this topic.
So this afternoon, we're looking at the actuarial evaluation as of June 30th, 2023. I'm here. Now it really is on. Okay, so we're looking at the evaluation for June 30, 2023, which is actually for the budget year that we're in process of preparing now for June 30, 2025. We went through this report in a lot of detail, or some detail at least, last year when we met. And so I think the best thing for me to do is just to point out some of the highlights and the key indicators that I like to look at, and just to give you an overall feeling of how the plan is doing. And then I'm happy to answer questions too. The best overall indicator, I think, of the plan, the health of the plan, is the funded status. And so our funded status went from, in the tier 1 and tier 2, we went from 71.5% to 71.4%. So that's good. We're staying level. And then the tier 3, and this is just pension. Health, I don't even really look at, because we're 300 and something percent funded and 212%. So it's not, nothing really to watch there. And then in our tier 3 plan, we are at 107.3%, down slightly from 110.5%. So from my perspective, I think the plan's still very healthy and looks good. And then I also like to give some context to what we're actually talking about, and as far as the membership goes. So Currently in the tier 1 and 2, we have 5 active members. In tier 3, we have 4 active members. We also have, and this is all as of the June 30 evaluation date. We also have 7 retirees, 1 beneficiary collecting, and then we have 1 inactive but vested member currently. And the underlying payroll that we're talking about is about 830,000, and just make sure that's right. Yep, about 830,000, and then the contribution that the town is making is closer to 200,000, about 190. So then, as if you want to look at the report, I guess there's just a couple of other pages that I think are good to look at. Page 1, when you look at that, has their funded status. If you go to page 4, we can look at the contribution rates. Our contribution rates actually declined a little bit. It came down just slightly this year, so that was good too. I mean, if there were concerns about the plan, you'd start seeing your contribution rates go up. So that's a good thing. On page 9, it gets into the unfunded liability, which is another good thing to look at. And the unfunded liability of the tier 1 and tier 2 plans went from 1.2 million to 1.3 million. So we did increase a little bit, but I would expect to see that as our membership is growing, as people are getting paid more money, and those liabilities are just going to grow a little bit. And same thing in tier 3 is on page 10. Let me just get that real quick. And your unfunded liability, you don't even have unfunded liabilities because we're overfunded in that plan. That's why I didn't write it down. So the plans are doing well. The market rate of return versus the actuarial rate of return is another sort of interesting thing to look at, because those two numbers are different. So the actuaries don't use what the markets were doing on June 30. They do a 7-year smoothing, and they look at other factors. And so the market rate of return for tier 1 and tier 2 was 7.7%, and the actuarial rate of return was 6.9%. So that's what they're using for our valuation, is the 6.9%. The health was closer, 7.6 for the market, actuarial was 7.2%, and then tier 3 was 9.2% market, and then actuarial was 7.3%. It's a little more of a difference there. I think that kind of covers the highlights. I guess another area that I like to look at, it is, it's actually an important area to look at, are the assumptions, and that's on page 21. So you want to look at the assumptions used, because these are the levers that will move your plan. They can increase or decrease the plan's funded status and the contribution rates if they're changed. And so you always want to look at those assumptions and see what changes were made during the year. And experience studies are done periodically where they test the actual results and bump them up against your actuarial plans to just make sure everything looks like they're on track. So sometimes things will change. And there was just one adjustment this year, and that was payroll growth. They're decreasing that year over year. So the oldest I looked was 3.5%. They've been going down 0.5% every year, and now we're at 2% for payroll growth. So those are the highlights of this report, but I know there's a ton of information in here. I just don't want to bore you all day, and I don't know how much you're interested in or want to know. So I'm happy to answer questions too. Anything? Going once?
Questions about the report?
To me, I interpret it as good news.
Yep. Yeah, nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody's experiencing hiring new people at higher rates than.
Yes.
Just.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
And we had a little concern when we talked last time of the inflation, but that's all sort of settled down now, and the actual inflation is now much closer to what they're using in the report. And the discount rate, or the rate of return that they're using, is 7 and 7.2 for the two different plans. And I think, ours, what we were seeing is our actuarial rate of returns were right in that range. So again, that's something you kind of watch, is to see how far off the mark are we from what they're, assuming we're going to get. So.
And as we hire people in the third tier, it has, I mean, the impact is not as significant as it was if we were hiring people that were in tier 1 or tier 2.
Exactly.
So a lot of it
Yeah.
is really designed to, over time, level quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
absolutely. Any other questions or comments about the report? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve to accept the Arizona PSPRS actuarial valuation of June 30th, 2023. At this time? Would anyone care to make a motion? Thank you very much. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by member Densler, seconded by member Robbins. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. And now we're on to future agenda items. Does anyone have a future agenda item for the commission? Okay, none. At this time, I'll move to adjourn. Do I have a second? It's been moved by member Kramer. It's been seconded by member Candelaria. Are all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, then that passes unanimously, adjourned at 4:42 PM.
Good job, Brian. Nice. Run it through, baby.
Well, it's a good one. It's a big one.